Hey, everybody. So I'm going to give it a second for folks to get in here. And while I wait for you to get in here, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I share this on my regular page so that folks have the opportunity to see it on that page and then go from there. So just give me a second, and we're gonna kind of do this. We're gonna make this work, okay? So y'all give me a second. And yes, okay. All right, I got it. All right, so I wanted to take a second to go live, and right when I was preparing to go live about some other things, I got several news alerts saying that that the FBI has confirmed that that Gabby was, in fact, that those were her remains that were found. That she is the victim of a homicide, and that they are still looking for her fiance. So I threw that in here just because it literally just came across my my feed. I have alerts set up, and so it came across my feed as I was preparing for this broadcast. However, what I originally wanted to talk about was two things, and really one more than the other, because there's already been a lot of activity on my page today regarding the Haitian refugees and the Border Patrol agents, and so I want to talk about that. I want to look at two pieces of footage, right, for people who have been saying, oh well, no, those are just horse reins, and they're not whips. Well, they're being used as whips to threaten, right? That's what they're being used for. And you can even watch in the footage. The head of Border Patrol actually said that that these long reins are being used to ensure control of the horse. However, when you watch the video and some of the images that I'm going to show you here in a second, you will see that those reins are being used in a threatening manner towards these refugees. And so we're going to talk about that. And then what I really wanted to talk about, which is only making regional news and not national news, is a new development in the Ahmaud Arbery case. And so some new body cam footage was released with regard to the Ahmaud Arbery case. And I'm going to show you from a local news agency their report on that. It's really disturbing, some of the things from law enforcement and things that we're seeing. So I'm hoping that all of the comments and things like that are working, because I can't see anything on this end. So let me just double check and make sure. So give me 1 second, folks. Give me a second. All right. Okay, so I've got somebody who's going to check that for me. In the meantime, I'm going to keep going. So again, the only thing that I want to mention about Gabby is that they have confirmed that those were her remains that were found. She was the victim of a homicide, and they are still looking for her fiance. Moving forward into the incident that's happening down at the border, right, in Del Rio, Texas, and what we're seeing. Hey, Denise, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, so like it's weird sometimes. There's like a delay, and I can't always see. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing down at the border and the comments that are being made with regard to, what's up, Loretta? With regard to these being reins and they're not really whips and so forth and so on. So what I will not do is argue semantics with you, right? Yay, Mindy, you're not banned over there. That's great. What I will not do is argue semantics with you about what these things are, right? So, so for example, growing up, I don't know about any of you guys, but I used to get disciplined with a belt, or I used to get disciplined with like we call it an old soft shoe, a slipper when you get your tail whipped with a bedroom slipper, right? It's a slipper, but at the time it's being used, right, as a whip to whip my butt, right? So what I'm not going to do, what's up, Daniel, is argue semantics with you as if just because a thing is known by a certain word that it can't be used for something else. And that when something is used for something else, then that can change the way we identify it, right? It's just that simple, folks. So yes, are these long reins on a horse? Of course, right? Were they being used to ensure control of the horse? No, not in any of the footage. And I've watched like 5 or 6 different videos from different angles, even took still shots to look at them. No, these reins are being used in a threatening manner towards refugees. Period. Um, so that's what we're going to take a look at. So for those of you guys who say you haven't seen it and you don't know what the hell we're all talking about, I hope you're paying attention and I hope that you're watching right now because I'm going to show you. Okay. So first, this is a clip of a video because I didn't show like them interviewing refugees and all of that because that's not the focus, right? This is the focus. So first, let me just play this clip for you.
This is why your country, because you use your women for this.
They've set up in Texas.
Hey, you use your women? This is why your country, because you use your women for this.
You no, that way.
Back. You'll see him go to swing that rein round.
Hey, no.
And you see the guy run from him. He is swinging it around in a threatening manner. And
We've got our families inside, dying of hunger.
Right? Period. So there's nothing you can say to me that changes my opinion about how those reins were being utilized in that moment. They were being utilized to threaten refugees, to keep them back in the water. Period. Right? If you listen to the beginning of that video, what that Border Patrol agent says is he says, this is why your country is shit because you use your women, I guess, to go get food as if I guess the men are the only people who are supposed to go get food. I can tell you now, I would be one of the women trudging through the river to go get food, right? I would, in lieu of elderly people, in lieu of sick people, in lieu of babies and children. I would be one of those women that would haul my ass across the water to go get food and supplies. Like that would be me. So yes, and the horse is being used in a threatening manner as well. So when people say that to me, I just say you're full of it. Period, folks. Now here are some of the still images, and I want you to look. In no way are these reins being used for the horse. So let me add this to the stream really quickly. So he is swinging that thing. They're not using those reins for their horses. You see him? Look, this dude right here, he's the one that really pisses me off. In every still shot you see, look at his face. In every image I've seen of him, he has this nasty look on his face. You even see it back here. Hold on. See this one? Hold on. I'm almost back far enough. And you see the refugee has his arm out. He has his arm out, and you see him looking at him, holding on to that daggone whip, right? Because that's what he's using it for. I am not imagining this. This is not some sort of delusion. Like, this is what he's doing, period. And the fact that folks will look at this, oh, people are absolutely trying to defend this behavior. Mark, I have been called a bitch today. I've been called a racist. I've been called an idiot. I've been called a moron because I did a broadcast earlier today talking. When I first woke up and I saw this, I was so angry because here's my thing. These are human beings and they are refugees, period. And they simply don't have enough supplies at the camp at Del Rio. So they are going across the border into Mexico to go get things. And I have been, so listen, I will show you the messages that I got today in my inbox. Whoops, hold on. Here are the messages I got. So this one, this is at 10:47 this morning. Hold on. Let me just, well, I don't want to take this picture down. I'll show it to you in a second. Let me finish playing these videos really quickly, right? Right, Denise. And for people who don't get it, I was raised riding horses. I'm from Tennessee. I know what they are. I also know how they're being used. And if something is being used as a weapon or as a whip in this point, then that's what you call it, period. I know their reins. I know their reins being used as whips. That's what I know. And when you look at this guy's face, this guy right here is the one who told them that their country is shit. Now, I remember a president not too long ago referring to these countries as shithole countries, right? I don't know about you, but I remember that. This is the guy who referred to their country as shit. And this is the guy who keeps using his reins as a whip. So watch. He does it, and look at his face. You can see his face. He's doing the same thing here. This is the very first image. See? And this guy runs away in the video that I showed you. So let me remove this. Now, because I made this statement today that we would not be seeing this type of behavior if these were white refugees, people are really mad at me. And I still stand by that statement. We do not ever see the treatment of white refugees in this manner. We don't. We don't, folks. And for you to be angry or call me names, so literally, y'all can read this. You're racist trash. I see you didn't mention Hispanic or African American border agents doing the same thing. Racists are so easy to detect. This one, you contribute nothing but bullshit, Danny, from what I see. What's up, Black? Here's my favorite. Here's my favorite from today. Go fuck yourself, you stupid bitch. That's my favorite one from today, right? Last night I was called a nigger. Last night I was called a racist. Last night I was called all of these different things. Yeah, Mr. Cranium, Mark. And here's the thing. I'm still not going to change what I'm saying, right? Yeah. See, I don't ever take screenshots of the things that make it to my inbox. But the things that I get called for simply sharing factual information is astounding. And typically it comes from white males. There's another guy that was on my page today, thought his ass was going to be really cute. And it backfired on him because he came at me and said, he commented because I said, if your profile picture still says Trump 2020, I refuse to even address you. Right? I'm just not, because you need to get into 2021, right? I need you to find another piece of reality. So this dude comes to my page and he says, hold on, y'all know I'm going to get it so I can give it to you factually. But he comes to my page and he responds by saying, here it is. Whoops. Wait a minute. I got to find the right one. Okay, here we go. Y'all been all over my page today. You've been all over my page today. So he comes to my page and he says something to the effect of, hopefully in 2016. Oh, here it is. Jacob Meyer. I'm going to give you a shout out in my broadcast today, Jacob. So here's what he says. I assume you took this exact same stance in 2016 when people were spouting, quote, not my president for months into the new presidency, because certainly you wouldn't be a hypocrite asking for a friend. No, smart ass. I'm not. So what I did was I went back and I took a screenshot of my broadcast back then, which is here. And here's what that broadcast says. It is from June 12th, 2018. And it says racism in America, because I did a 5-part series on racism. And I said, yes, he is your president. Now what? This was a podcast episode that I did in 2018. So no, Jacob, nice try, smart ass. But I actually did tell people, yeah, he is the president, because he is. Now, we might not like it. I might have thought he was a shitty president, but he was the president, right? So, and I'm a big believer, you hear me say this all the time, that you cannot change what you do not accept. So if I keep saying, oh, no, he's not the president, then that's a reality I can't change. So the only way I can change, no, people didn't like it, did they, Mindy? See, Mindy's been rocking with me for years, so she knows I will call a spade a spade. And what I said is, dear Black people, he is your president, whether you like it or not. Yes, I love her. Heather Cox Richardson. Larry, I watch her all the time, and I normally share her. She's white and a historian. And one of the reasons I love her is because she knows her ish. And she gives it to people, and it's the facts. Period. So let me wrap up this segment of this broadcast by saying to you, A, yes, Border Patrol agents were using long reins as whips and their horses in a threatening manner towards Haitian refugees. Period. That's a freaking fact. You don't got to like it, but it is so. And I stand by my sentiment and my opinion that would not be happening if they were white. So, like, Oh, and kudos to Mindy B for giving me a link today. I'll post it later. But currently, there are just shy of 60,000 undocumented Canadian immigrants in this country. So nobody's at the Canadian border, though. Nobody's at the Canadian border talking about that. Nobody, right? Nobody. But anyway, let's keep going. And she would be flat out correct, Larry. Yes. And that's the thing. So this is the thing that I do love about her. She is factual, she is historical, and she tells it like it is. And call a thing, right? So let me go on to this next part, because this part is also important. Right. And that's my thing, Daniel. Well, here's the thing. I don't have to be able to prove it other than to say, show me footage of American Border Patrol agents treating white people like that. Show me. Show me, because there's not any. And let me just say this. I'm going to go over it one more time because I shared it on my page today. And I'm going to share it again on this live so that everyone knows what I'm saying, right? So people are quick to ask me when I criticize. So, for example, I have criticized the separating of families at the borders. I have criticized, I don't care what damn president you are, putting children in cages or in shelters that are not adequate, right? It's 57,000 undocumented Canadians, Leslie. Mindy B, you can throw the link up in there for me in the comments if you can. So let me just say this. So whenever I talk about that, people go, well, you're just quick to criticize. What's your damn plan? Well, let me tell you what my plan is, because I've thought about this for quite a while. Like, what could we really do? Not to put a Band-Aid on the immigration system, right? But to actually fix it in a way that would be really good for the country as a whole and humanity, right? And so here's my idea. And this is a outline of a plan that would have to be really delved into. However, I do believe that it is more cost effective than what is being done currently, and that it would be more effective long term, and it would help the United States. So here's my idea, and I published this earlier on my page. Over 350 military installations have been closed in the United States of America. Many of them remain unused and for sale, right? So military installations are often self-contained in that they have housing for families and single people, right? So they have barracks for women and barracks for men, and then they have family housing units. They oftentimes have daycare facilities. They have a commissary, a PX. A commissary is a grocery store for those of you guys who don't know. The PX, think of a PX like Walmart, okay? So they have a grocery store and quote unquote a Walmart on the post. They have medical clinics or hospitals on them. They have and secured entry and exit on these military installations. So my quote unquote immigration plan would be 1, select the best closed installations and use them for refugees and immigrants who are awaiting their court cases, their court dates. 2, hire lawyers to work these cases in exchange for eliminating their student debt, right? So you hire them for a decent wage, and more importantly, you get rid of their student debt, okay? This would help expedite the cases, okay? 3, you hire people from the surrounding communities to work the installation. Therefore, you create jobs and you stimulate the community economy, because most of these communities, when these bases close, the base is the predominant means of economic, stimulation for the community. So hire these people to run the PXs and all of that good stuff, right? Hire medical people, stimulate, do all of that. You're creating jobs, right? 4, you place families in the family housing units on these installations to keep them together instead of ripping apart our families. Like, let's don't do that, right? Let's don't traumatize children and destroy family units, since we're supposed to be so family unit oriented in this country, right? So let's do that. Let's place the men in the male barracks, right? And the women in their women's barracks. Let's do that for single people. And then you can hire the refugees and allow them to work in vacant positions that aren't filled by the community that are on the installation, right? So you give first dibs to the people in the community, second dibs to the refugees and immigrants, period, right? And then 7, you provide security. My personal recommendation would be veterans and retired military folks so that they could run the gates, right? So every post that you go on a military installation, right, you have a checkpoint at the entry points of the gates. So why not employ our veterans? We have so many veterans that are homeless, that get out of the military, that can't really integrate into civilian life. Why not give them a role? Why not give them a way to have an income and still be a part of, quote unquote, a military base, right? Give them something that helps them identify with what they've been living for such a long time and give them purpose, right? So you could do that. Again, this creates jobs and it takes care of our vets. This is my plan. This is my plan. I have to decline this call. This is my plan. And what I think would be an adequate solution to our immigration problems. Call me crazy, but I really do think that that's something that we can make happen, right? Hold on a second, because he's really cute, and I need him to know that I'm on a broadcast. So, okay, so that's my idea. I think it's feasible. I think it makes use of resources that we already have. I think it helps expedite a system that is sorely broken. I think it helps people alleviate debt, create jobs, stimulate the economy, and it treats immigrants like human beings. That's my plan. And I've said it, and here's what's so funny. My mom heard me say it on a live one time, and she kept saying, put that on paper and send that to me. And I never did. And then today I knew people were going to come for me over immigration. So I put it out there. And so that's my plan. That's what I think would work. Okay. So thank y'all. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do appreciate that. I don't see a downside. I really don't see a downside to it. I believe it can work. Right. And I do think that it's something that people could get behind, right? Because it's not just like letting them in and like people get, why do people get, did you all know that 97% of the people who apply for asylum in this country pass that first test? Yeah. And so, Daniel, I agree it would be a lot of work, right? But I think that it would be worth it in the long run. I think about the long-term payoff and the long-term benefits. Like, holy crap, I really do think that it would be something that works, right? Nobody in Tennessee will even talk to me except for Gloria Johnson. Like, not in East Tennessee anyway. There's no representatives in Tennessee that even want to talk to me. But it's cool, which I think is also asinine. Like, when I lived back, like, y'all know I just moved again, but when I lived there for the last 2 years, I emailed my state rep, which was Bud Halsey, a number of times, and he would never meet with me. He would never email me back. He would never call me. He would never, nothing. It was like, I don't exist. And that might be because, like, I called him out for saying that people who didn't have insurance, who were homeless, who were drug addicted, like, he called them throwaway people. So he's probably angry that I put his video that was on YouTube, by the way. It was part of his COPA hearing testimony. I put it on the internet so that his constituents could see what he said. Now, here's the thing. Y'all's asses still voted him back in again, whatever. But so at least I told you, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's my thoughts around immigration, and that's my plan. If you know of someone that is in Congress who would like to talk to me about it, your girl is down for helping put it together. But that's my idea. All right, so right. That's exactly what I just said, Leslie. That's exactly what I just said. Now I want to switch gears really quickly. Hey, Melanie, I want to switch gears really quickly. And I want to talk about the Ahmaud Arbery case, because as you all know, or maybe you don't know, the former DA for the Ahmaud Arbery case, right? Dripping sarcasm. You're aware that the former DA has been arrested and charged with hindering an investigation and impeding an officer's investigation, right? So what they're saying is that she directed police officers on the scene to not arrest Travis McMichael or George McMichael on the day that it happened. So what I'm going to share with you now is from it's a local news agency down there. It's Glenn County, and it is WTOC. And it's a couple of minutes long, but it's well worth it. And I would rather show you this clip so that you can see and hear, because as the officers are talking, so here's what happened. They released some new, what's that, Molite? They released some new body cam footage that is really important and infuriating at the same time. And I want to show you this video because you will hear what they're saying. And also they've gone ahead and put captions to the side. And then I want to talk about it after I show it to you. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to add it to the stream now.
First impressions on that day of the shooting. One officer said he was so close to the scene he heard the gunshots. WTOC Investigates continues to look through evidence in the case file. Our lead investigative reporter, Jessica Savage, joins us now. Jessica, you've gone back and revisited the police body camera footage from that day, and you found some new information.
Yeah, I sure did. So after the indictment of former District Attorney Jackie Johnson, I went back through those files that we have on the day Ahmaud Arbery was killed to piece together how officers responded. Now remember, Johnson is accused of directing police officers not to arrest the suspected shooter on the day of the shooting. Here's what we learned.
Satilla Drive at Holmes Road.
The first officer on the scene actually heard the gunshots that killed Ahmaud Arbery. Listen as he describes what happened.
I was coming right through there and I heard the shots. It took me a minute to grasp what's going on. I heard the shots, I was coming through, but I didn't realize what had happened until I got right there. I was looking around trying to figure out where it was coming from. And I saw the two guys with the gun over here. When I got right here, they were still standing there with guns in their hands. He was already fell down, dude.
As he arrived on the scene, you can hear a dispatcher ask if he was involved.
Dispatch 24, I need to know if you were involved.
Negative.
WTOC is not going to show the video because it's too graphic. But here's what happened next. 3 minutes later, a second officer arrives on the scene, walks over to Arbery, and turns him over. He appears to apply pressure to the wounds. 6 minutes later, EMS arrives. The officer then tells them that Arbery took his last breath a few minutes ago and that he applied pressure, and that's all he could do. Neither the shooter, Travis McMichael, nor his father, Greg, was arrested or charged that day. According to a recent grand jury indictment, that's because then District Attorney Jackie Johnson directed Glenn County police officers not to arrest Travis. She's now charged with obstruction and hindering a law enforcement officer, a felony offense. In light of the new information from the indictment, WTOC Investigates took another look at the police body camera video from the scene. In particular, what officers knew and discussed about the shooting. Listen as officers try to make sense of Greg's story that day.
Yeah, the story was kind of confusing as far as like where they went and what happened.
Yeah,
basically.
That's confusing too. About going this way, that way, why they were fought. Yeah, that's a little bit weird. Haven't put that together yet.
Another officer on the scene discusses how to share the load of the investigation, which she describes as a murder.
I was going to say Baker Unit because this is a murder, but it doesn't matter to me, however you want to do it.
And then there's the cell phone video taken by William Roddy Bryan Jr. Officers at the scene watched the video that day. Police collected it as evidence.
I'm emailing this video to my, he was videoing us ever come down the road.
Afterwards, officers gathered at the scene to talk through what they saw in that video.
They got out. You watched the video, didn't you? Would you agree? Old boy was kind of wearing him out a little bit, and then I slowed it down and watched it. You see the first shot, and then you see the second shot.
They changed the topic before the officer then turns off his body camera.
So,
Jackie Johnson's.
I just need to point a couple of things out, right? So what she said, what that officer said was that she said, I was going to say Baker. Yes, Mark Bernard, they really did. They came really close to getting away with it. If it had not been for it going viral on social media, they would have absolutely gotten away from it, away with it. Absolutely. Right. But so she said, I was going to say Baker because it's a murder. That's what she said. So she's talking about who to give the case to because it's a homicide. And she said, I was going to say Baker because it's a murder, but however you want to do it. So she backed out off of assigning the case to a homicide detective and then said, however you want to do it. Now, what's interesting is So after this, they sent a letter the next day to police. Oh, wait, to news media.
Direct influence that day is not yet apparent in any of the body camera video that we've seen that's been made publicly available so far. Here's what we do know. Greg McMichael's first phone call after the shooting was to then District Attorney Jackie Johnson. Now,
so the first phone call he makes. So imagine this, right? George McMichael, the first phone call he makes while he's standing on the scene when his son has shot Ahmaud Arbery is to call the damn DA. Because remember, he used to work for her. Okay, so let me keep going.
Police arrived on the scene at 1:14 p.m. According to court documents, he left her an urgent voicemail an hour later at 2:14 p.m. to say he had been involved in a shooting and he needed her advice.
So how many of you guys could be involved in a shooting and call the DA and say, hey, I need your advice? How many of you all could do that, right?
The next day, the Glenn County Police Department emailed details about the shooting to several area media outlets, including WTOC. Here's a look at the 3 sentences released to the public. It said the department is investigating a shots fired call that led to a death and that police are closely working with the district attorney's office to determine potential charges. It ends by saying that further details are not going to be released. Well, WTOC did clarify whether this information was in the shooting death resulted in a death. And John, the department responded and said, yes, it did.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jessica. We appreciate you going through all that information.
Melanie, you're asking the question. So why did they turn their body cameras off? So here's what happened, right? Yeah, the DA told them not to arrest his son is what the DA did. But so let me just keep going. All right. So you see this. So what you see is the police officers are standing in this huddle and they're talking about everything that they've seen. And listen to how she described it. She said, man, old boy was wearing his ass out. So that is how they described these 3 white men hunting down Ahmaud Arbery in the street. Was old boy was wearing his ass out. Did you see it? Did you watch the video? Because he was wearing his ass out. And then they're like, oh shit, we have our body cameras on, right? So they change the subject and then cover them up and turn them off. If that is not indicative of a police cover-up, I do not know what is. And they were sweeping it under the rug. So for those of you guys who don't know, so when Jackie Johnson was, when she finally recused herself after the Georgia Bureau of Investigation got involved, or right before that, when she recused herself, the DA that she recommended also had a conflict of interest because his son worked for her. Right? So follow me. So you have the DA, right? And the father of the shooter, right? Who was part of hunting down Ahmaud Arbery. He used to work for her. So then she recuses herself, but then the DA that she recommends, that DA's son works for her. Too much integration, too many conflicts of interest, too much kinship. Y'all got too much kissing cousinry happening, right? But if you listen to the way that yes, she recommended a DA that she had ties with. Absolutely. She sure did. Because if she recommends another DA, so for example, when GBI took the case over and they did their own independent investigation, y'all saw charges got brought. Thank you, Loretta Thompson. That's a perfect way of saying it. Too much home cooking in that crowd. And the thing is, how much do we see this, especially in smaller rural communities? So if I take a look at back home, right? You have places where, right, a lot of good old boy system is happening. You got the same people sitting on county commissions and board of mayor and aldermen that are sitting on, that are working for the DA or that have done investigations on the side for the police or have they're in business together or they're on regional business development committees together. This is what happens. And this is why when the system is set up the way that it is not to the good for Black and brown people, period. And you can hear the way they talked about him. So I want to put this in perspective for you all. For 6 minutes, these officers watched Ahmaud Arbery die. For 6 minutes. They watched him take his last breath because he was breathing when they got there, right? He was breathing. So I want to ask you, what state of mind do you have to be in, and what type of individual do you have to be with a person for the last 6 minutes of their life? And then when you describe them being hunted down and murdered in the street, you say, whew, they were wearing old boy's ass out. What does that say to you? I know what it says to me. It's just like, okay, y'all, who's the light-skinned, green-eyed black boy that they shot in the back? Now, granted, he was fleeing from the police. He was on Facebook Live and said, I ain't going back to jail today. Little young dumbass, right? He was like 20 years old, 21 years old, right? And he was running from them. And do y'all remember they tased him and then they shot him in the back? Deshaun Reed. Thank you, Mo Light. And do you remember what those officers said when they stood over his body? Hold on. I'm going to look and see if I can find it for you. Because they stood over his body. And the police said, damn, you're going to need a closed casket, dude, or some shit like that. Give me 1 second, because I need y'all to see the video, and I don't want to misquote, but I really want you to see the video. And I apologize that it may be triggering for you, but I really want you to hear what is said. So and I'm doing this on the fly, so give me a second. Let me make sure. Oops, wait, not you.
People with ADHD.
Not you. Oof. Let me see the body cam footage. Give me a second, guys. Because I really want to. Let me see if this is it. I know y'all are in the comments, but give me a second. Yeah, it did exist. Yeah, he said closed casket for him, something to that effect. So give me a second. This is.
Hi, I'm who's your injury attorney.
Dang, hold on. There it is. Hold on. Now we got it. Yeah, so what the officer said is, I think it's going to be a closed casket, homie. That's what he said. And all I can think of, like when I see this kid, because he is a kid, right? He is a kid. And I think about people that I know back home who come from affluent families who did much worse things than he did, who should have gone to jail or gotten in trouble and all of that. I think about, he's 21, dumbass. Like, should he have been running from the police? No, but was he a threat? Like, that's my thing. Was he a threat when you shot him in the back, right? So I want to find, I'm trying to get one without all the commentary, but unfortunately at this stage in the game, almost all the videos have a ton of commentary. So give me a second, guys. Yeah, it doesn't surprise you in the slightest. Unfortunately, me either, but that it really does suck. So, I want to see. Because it was on Facebook Live. And so this is what I just really want to get you the right video. So bear with me, folks. And there's the Nickelodeon ad beforehand. Can y'all tell my grandbabies have been here? Whenever there's a Nickelodeon ad in front of my videos, I know it's because my grandbabies have been here. But let's see. y'all.
Please come get me. Please go get me. I'm on 62nd in Michigan. I just parked this motherfucker. I'm gone. Please come get me.
Did y'all hear how many times they fired? God. Fuck. Sorry. Oh. I forgot. You know, it's sad, but we see so many of these. I forgot how many times they shot him in the back. I forgot. Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna grab it for you guys. I forgot. Holy jeez. I forgot. All right, I gotta grab the video for you. And I'm gonna do it the easiest way possible. So just bear with me, guys. It won't be pretty when I give it to you, but it'll be there.
Please come get me. Please go get me. I'm on 62nd in Michigan. I just parked this motherfucker. I'm gone. Please come get me. Oh, shit. What you say? Stop now! Fuck you! Shit!
And then 2 more extra. All right, so there we go. I'm going to give it to you. I counted like 12. I counted like 12. Yeah, that's why they said I think it's going to be a closed casket, homie. So hold on, I'm going to give you all. Good Lord. Here we go. And let me download this for you. And I'm going to show this one to you. And while you guys watch this one, I'm going to pull up the officer's body cam footage.
Please come get me. Please go get me. I'm on 62nd in Michigan. I just parked this motherfucker. I'm gone. Please come get me. Oh, shit. What you say? Stop now! Fuck you! Shit.
And then 2 more extra. So those were all the shots that were fired. Remember, he was running away from them.
Please come get me.
I need y'all to keep in mind he was running away. So no officer was in fear for their life. None. And now, let me make sure I've got the right video.
Oh, he actually got one off?
Yeah, he got it.
Yeah, I checked. He was walking back. Sure.
Yep.
That's not what you know. I'll probably there. I got that.
Like it's gonna be a closed casket, homie.
There it is. There's the part right there that says, I think it's going to be a closed casket, homie. So I'm going to take this part for you. So when people say, yeah, let me just do it right here. It won't be pretty, you guys, but I'm still going to give it to you.
Yep.
That's not what you get. I'll play that. I got that.
Like it's gonna be a closed casket, homie.
And then they're laughing while they're talking about shell casings. Then they're laughing. Looks like it's going to be a closed casket, homie. Ha ha. As if that's somehow funny. So, y'all know I like to give them to you so you can see them. Yeah. 14 shots, Lisa. Yeah, I got to 12, but 14. So when people say to me that I'm race baiting, or when people call me a racist when I talk about these things, and they refuse to see like what's clear as day, what the evidence is, it makes me really upset and angry and frustrated, because you're completely discounting like what's true, right? You like, and people will say, well, he shouldn't have run, but that is not a death sentence, right? That's not a death sentence. Running is not a death sentence. And for people to act like that somehow justifies it angers me, because it's like you do not know right from wrong, like you do not understand the value of life. But I'm still going to give it to you. This is it.
Yep.
That's not what you get. I'll play that. I got that.
Like it's gonna be a closed casket, homie.
You heard him, right? Like it's gonna be a closed casket. And then they start talking about shell casings, right? So when I talk about what's happening at the border, and I say that it is my sincere belief, based on historical evidence, that is not how white refugees would be treated if they were at the border, right? I mean that with all sincerity, right? And I won't apologize for saying that, because I do believe it to be 100% absolutely the truth. Do I believe that there are Border Patrol officers and ICE agents who get a thrill out of being in that position of power? I do. Do I believe that they abuse that position of power? I do. Do I believe that it is exacerbated to a significantly higher degree when it comes to BIPOC people, Black, Brown, Indigenous, people of color? I do. Do I believe that that is indicative of systemic racism? I do. And here's why. It has to be. And here's what I mean by that. If it was not ingrained and embedded into the system, then the officers would not feel like they could so brazenly and openly do that, right? So you only behave in a manner like that when you feel you will not be held accountable. That's indicative of a system. And it's a system that I believe sometimes covers up simply because they don't want to be the bad or corrupt agency, and they don't want to be whatever. Rather than weeding out the bad apples, they cover up because they don't want to be identified as such. Okay. And so that's what we mean when we talk about systemic racism, right? The fact that the systems are built in such a way. So I don't know if you guys remember, but several months back, I showed you a video of a Black officer who walked into his office, and the police chief, who'd been a police chief for like 30 years, right, thought it was an appropriate joke to put a jacket in the form of a hood, like the KKK, with a little note on it on a black officer's desk, as if that racial joke about a KKK was okay. So tell me this, how does every black officer who's worked under that police chief feel? And the officer said afterwards, he said, he said, all I could do was kind of laugh because it's uncomfortable. I don't know if any of you all have ever been there like that, where someone, because of their position of power, they're in the wrong, but all you can do is just kind of joke about it, right? All you can do is laugh it off, because what do? Do you lose your job? Do you get reprimanded? Do you become targeted? Right? Yes. And it's not incidental racism. It is a vital part of it. Like, its origins are in racism. And here's the thing, guys. People get so upset when you say that, but it is the truth. And we cannot change it and transform it until we acknowledge and accept it as truth. It is. And what you see right now, and I firmly believe this with all of my heart, right, is that what you see right now is things are shifting. Things are shifting. The racial makeup of this country is shifting. The gender makeup of this country is shifting. And it threatens certain societies, hierarchy in those groups. And those people feel threatened, because they've been in positions of power and privilege for such a long time that they feel threatened. And why do they feel threatened? Well, because they're afraid that when other people get the same position of power and privilege that they've had, that they are going to do to them what they did to other people, right? You're afraid that you're going to reap what you've sown. And I get that, but let me just say this. You can't stop the changing of the demographics. It's going to happen, right? Love is winning, right? Love is crossing racial boundaries. Love is crossing gender boundaries. Love is crossing, like all of those things. Love is making us this big, huge melting pot, like it or not. And predominantly, the majority of Americans get that, and they are okay with people loving the way they love and being who they are, right? They fear that bad karma is coming for them, right? And so I'm just saying that is why the fight is so strong in some of these stronghold states, right? Like Tennessee and Kentucky and South Carolina and parts of Georgia, right? The reason why is because if these people who benefit from this societal hierarchy system, if they lose those particular areas, it's done. It's a wrap, folks. It is a wrap. And they know that the younger generation coming up, they're not on board with the old ways. They are not on board with it. And so it is changing. And so what you see is fear coming out in and being expressed in hatred. So hopefully we all learned some things today. I didn't intend to go into Deshaun Reed's stuff, but it seemed appropriate. And it's important to keep an eye on the Ahmaud Arbery case as it continues to go forward. It has been a much slower path for it than George Floyd and some others. And so it's really important for us to keep an eye on these cases, right? Right. That's why Texas is making laws and think about these things, because it is now a minority, correct? I think white men in America make up, don't make me lie, because I don't remember the number anymore. So you can't let any more brown folk cross that daggone border, folks. But yeah, things are changing. And I will say this, I will continue to talk about things that I believe matter. And I believe these things matter. I'm going to continue to talk about them. I'm going to continue to highlight them. I'm going to continue to do it from a space that says, we have to accept these things in order for us to change and transform them. I am not an advocate for like segregation and separation and all of that. I'm a hippie at heart. And if I could twinkle my nose and make us all like love, peace, and happiness, I would. And I am for accountability. And I believe that accountability can come with connection and love, right? So I believe that I can desire and advocate for accountability and justice and transformation at the same time that I desire connection and love and healing and all of that, right? I'm a hippie with a cause. It's good trouble for a reason, not just good trouble just for the sake of trouble, right? Because that's a damn headache. I have to believe that the outcome will be something amazing and good to make the effort worth it. So that is all I have for you. Yeah, they are about to go blue, Mark, and so are so many other places. And for me, it's not about like red versus blue, right? The red has gone to this far extreme place that no longer is feasible, right? It's just not, it's not sustainable, right? They are far extreme beliefs and attitudes and expressions. And we are better than that. And we are more than that. And I think that people believe that, right? So saying that I want something to change doesn't mean that I don't love it. It means that I love it so much that I want it to become what it's best capable of, right? So yeah, you know, why do we give our children accountability? And, you know, why do we set boundaries for them? Why do we say, hey, listen, it's because we want to bring out their best potential. And that is what I desire for this country, to bring out our best potential. Right. You're welcome, Mo. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for having my back. You know, people have been talking about me shit online today, like really hard. I've been called a lot today. And it's all right. It's not all right, but it's all right. Like it has to be all right, because their opinions of me don't matter. I am 100% bought into who I desire to be in this life and why I believe the things I believe and do the things that I do. And I believe that humanity is more important than anything. And we shouldn't mistreat people. I don't care who they are. Right? Right, Mindy, you did. Hush, Jamie. Hush, Jamie. All right, I'm out of here, you guys. This was an unplanned live, but very necessary. You guys be safe out there, right? Make sure you're wearing masks, physically distancing, get the jab. I'm going to say get the jab. Find out what jab is best for you, but get the jab. For goodness sake, I don't know, email, call your representatives, become active, care about some things. And I may have something in the works that will surprise people, but we'll just see. We'll see what the next week or so brings for me, but you never know where you might pop up and see me next. So I'll see you guys Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be amazing, be light, be love. Peace.